Okay. Hello, everyone. It's Phantomet. Some of you may know me from TikTok or Tumblr, or maybe somehow my Instagram of all places. Or if you're completely new, which is amazing, welcome. I wanted to make my first proper video on Artfight, as most of them have been on TikTok, as it is something I hold near and dear to my heart, and I would like to say I'm decently qualified. And what is a better way to celebrate a decade of art fight, but with a tips and tricks video? I am going to try and break it up into sections, that being art prep, profile prep, etiquette, and the actual battle. I'd like to add before we start, thank you to my lovely followers who gave me some tips of their own that will be included in this video. I love you all very, very much. Please, for the love of God, prep months before the fight. When I say months, yes, I mean months. Even right now, I've been prepping since last month. And the prep for this game is honestly insane if you have a lot of characters like I do. Um, I'm trying to tone it down this year though. Uh, I know when I'm posting this, everyone is recharging from finals, but when you have recharged, take a peek at those ref sheets. You need to make sure, are they up to date? Are there changes that need to be made? Or is there a new one even need to be made? I updated most of mine in February, but that was mostly just because I was unhappy with how their design looks, and I think my art style has changed a decent amount of times since then. And you can upload them anytime you want. Honestly, I recommend uploading them as soon as you finish them. The closer we get to the fight starting, the glitchier the site is going to get. And then add bonus images if they have a specific sort of vibe to them. I tend to link their Pinterest boards or even their playlists, which I will show you once we get to the actual website sort of prep. And then, of course, pace yourself. This prep doesn't mean you have to lock in and strain yourself. This is a fun game for everyone to do. This prep is supposed to prevent you from burning out before the games. So, again, you know your pacing better than I do. I can usually crank through things without getting too tired, but do what is best for you. Oh, P.S. If you have any characters in the same universe, they did a thing called collections? No, connections. Then we have character bookmarks. If you don't know already, you can bookmark characters. Typically, I do this a month up to a few days before the games, since the site tends to crash the day they begin, if not throughout the week. I have bookmarked characters way before the fight, but usually it's a higher chance that you will bookmark the person that will be on the same team as you, instead of having more opponents. Then yeah. Side note, I also write down the character's info in my notes app, such as their name, character ID, and the person who made said character, so I can at least attempt to submit attacks during the first week. And please save the rev sheets to a file in your camera roll. This will be very important. When the fight starts, it will be very, very hard to get anything on the site to load. Along with this, if you're planning on drawing someone's OC you might not be used to drawing or have a skill set you haven't practiced much before, do it now. In the art fight rules, you cannot work on your attacks before the game, but you can do studies as long as you don't use them in the final piece for your character. Okay, moving on to profile prep. While we're going over profiles, let me go over the website a bit as well for our newer folk. At our homepage, we have our recent characters and soon to be attacked, which will show up more towards the beginning of the games. Here you can click on a character that catches your eye and save it to your bookmarks. This is where you can see recent news and our lovely admin and contributors. Up top, the biggest things you have to look for are submit, which is where you make a new character or submit an attack, and then the discover. You can find users, attacks, and characters here, but what I enjoy is in the little old section, which is discover using tags. Because, if you have a specific vibe you want to draw sometimes, or specific fandoms, I believe they are working on bringing a newer version of this back, but I don't know if it will be implemented this year or next year. Now with profile preparations, you can go as little or go as crazy as you want. Now with Artfight allowing HTML formatting, which Toy House users, I'm looking at you, it opens a whole new world to what we were able to do before. I'm sure you've seen the crazy profiles on Toy House. The ones on Artfight have more of a whitelist than the ones on Toy House. You cannot go as crazy with the customization, but it's still pretty insane with some things I've seen people do. While having more restrictions than Toy House, it does use the same code editor, which is called Circle Journey, which is a live editor. And in hand, there are many lovely creators who make bases for you to fill in your character info as well. I used one for my profile and also my character descriptions, which hopefully editing Aries will remember to include. Okay, your profile. We're not talking about OCs just yet, not your worlds, just you. There isn't a specific way for how or what you should do this with, but here are your basics. Your username or what you prefer to be called, pronouns, preferred characters, and then year badges for funsies, which if you look up Artfight year badges, it should link to the one we're on the Artfight website that you can just copy and paste the images into the profile. Or if you'd rather wait, Artfight releases profile cards after the theme reveal that you can fill out instead, and then just paste that into your profile as well. While editing, you should also see a links section where you should be able to put all of your social media. I've made plenty of art movies off of this site and even repeat attacks on some of them each year. Before even thinking about making your OC profiles, you need to make a boundaries list as well. This should be quick, easy, you know your boundaries better than anyone else. This one is completely up to you with how your feelings are with your characters, and you could specify it more in individual character permissions as well. I use an amazing base made by H077Y on Toy House, which is easy to fill out, and I work around for all of my OCs. Hopefully I should have it linked in the description for those interested. But now, finally, we can get onto the actual character part. Honestly, the character making page can be incredibly overwhelming with how it is set up. It is very condensed, and it can be quite crazy if you're not doing it on your computer. So, let's go on with the basics. Do not worry about character description or permissions just yet. Just fill out the character's name, the credits, the filters, the tags, and put in the images. I'll be doing this with you on screen, so do not worry. Of course, images, this is the thing with Artfight, you need to have your files to be pretty small. I typically resize mine to work, but with profile pictures of your OCs, you could just use their cropping tool, which works out better quality-wise than resizing yours to 200 by 200 pixels. On another hand, I resize my reference sheet using the Studio Paint Canvas resizer. So, if you have that, I recommend that. Before I realized this was a thing, I simply used the imageresizer.com as it lets you change it by pixel or percentage. My rule of thumb that's worked for me is that your canvases need to be in the 1000 to 1500 pixel range, and usually that doesn't hold as much information as someone who has canvas sizes that range from 2000 to 5000 pixels. Typically, they keep their quality while the file size is small enough for you to submit, because once you leave the 1000 pixel area, it kind of gets a little crunchy. Now that you have your basics all done, submit that guy and upload them. Perfect, and now we can work on the actual profile. Again, you can do this however you like. I use this code base by Talia Pi. I think that's how you pronounce it, because I enjoy the way that it's organized. It gives me enough info to read through without it being a full Toy House profile. If you don't want to go too crazy, just put in your basics, the usual name, age, height, etc. Put in whatever you think is needed. I tend to add a design notes section which is like things you would like to be included in case the person drawing your character was thinking of simplifying it at all. And then after that, we have the connection links for your OCs, which I think is amazing than having to hyperlink all of them. I remember having to go through that trouble back in like the 2024 era with a few of my characters. And how it works is that you can just throw in your character ID and you click check and then you submit it. If it's all your own characters, the connections automatically go through. But say you're trying to connect with a friend and stuff, they have to go through and approve it. Though, when they are approved and they're all connected, you can add little descriptions to show how your character feels about the other characters as well, which I think is really cute. Then, we're going to move on to etiquette. This you think would be pretty self-explanatory, but there are always a few bad apples that make me feel like I have to make this an announcement. Okay, I'm gonna get loud. You are not entitled to getting revenge or attacks. This is a gifting game. It is very, very important to me that you know this. I will say, yes, it is always amazing to receive and get attacks/revenge, and you are allowed to want them. But there is a difference between wanting and vocalizing and complaining. Many artists have their lists they're working through or simply do not have the time. I personally try to revenge everyone just because it's my thanks for drawing my characters, but do I get to all of them? Most of the time, but not really. This game lasts a month and everyone works at different paces. Some can make many attacks, but others can only make a couple, and both are amazing. Please, all that I ask is that you be respectful to the people gifting you this art. Obviously, there are things that are very clearly wrong, such as swapping their race, body type, etc. Pretty much anything that goes against your character's boundaries. And please always leave a little thank you. You don't need to say anything crazy or immediately become buddy-buddy, but a thank you is always amazing. But speaking of boundaries, if you receive an artwork that does go against your character's boundaries or is simply trashing your character, there is a report system. It does take them a while to get through it as there is a team in Artfight, but it's decently small and volunteer work, I believe. Personally, I've never had to use it. There are just those bad apples from time to time with gaining in popularity. I just don't want it to ruin anyone's experience. Alright, we're here to where everyone was waiting for. What do we do when the games actually begin? What do we expect? How do we plan? First of all, there is always the annual site crash. There's honestly nothing we can really do about it. It's inevitable. And if it doesn't happen the first week, it'll probably happen sometime through the first day, and just accept it as the yearly ritual to say that it'll be good. Now, with submitting a text, this is the hard part because some of it is subjective, and I cannot show examples as the games have not started. We have the size, the medium used, backgrounds, and whether or not they are polished. Size, I believe, goes by headshot, half body, full body, and chibis. There might be a bust in there, but I am not completely sure. Medium, if it's digital or physic media, they even have ones for 3D animations, written, or even music, which is really cool. If you are unsure how to submit, check the FAQ. That is always the best way to check. The backgrounds can range from simple photos to clip art to fully illustrated. And then we have something called polished. Polished is the most subjective out of all of them. I tend to click polished if the attack takes me longer than normal, as well as if it's something that I'd put into my portfolio. All of these different categories are different, have different point worths, but it's very important to mark them correctly as there is a review system. Hopefully, Editing Phantom will put that in and what he thinks are different examples of all of this, but the FAQ is best to look at. The biggest thing is to remember to pace yourself and try to prevent burnout as best as possible. You can make one attack. I've seen people who make hundreds, however many you have the energy for. while yes, it is a battle to see which team wins, always remember that it is a gifting game and there is no need to be competitive or trash others. Have your joy and whimsy with you. For now, this is all that I could think of, or some of my followers helped me with as well. They made some really good points in here. Um, but yeah, no, thank you so much for watching. I hope this was at least a little bit helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, as well as go find me on Artfight. It's starting soon. I believe it's going to be sort of in a month when I upload this. I'm currently recording this in May, and I'm not sure how long editing will take me. Um, but yeah, no, thank you again. I hope to see you in Artfight. Let me know your guys' usernames, and have a lovely rest of your time.